Okay, today we're going to try to use the Hewlett-Packard 10B2 to do some simple time value calculations. These are the first calculations we did. This is an old quiz, so there's a good heads up for you. And we're going to start with the settings, so if you didn't have your calculator and you've got a brand new one, we'll get it set up and then we'll just work through the problems. It's very simple, but can be very frustrating if it's not set up correctly. So first, let's go through the setup. You can see the HP. This is the 10B2. Basically, if you first turn it on, this is what it's going to look like. The top row are the buttons that we're going to use for the most part. We'll use some other ones later, but for today, this is pretty much it. You'll notice it's set to 2 decimal places, and we need to change that. So the easiest way, it doesn't float, but you can set a fixed decimal by hitting the orange shift key down here, then the equals for display, and then whatever number you pick is how many decimals it will show. I always like 6. The other thing, this is going to be, and it will always stay like that. If you turn it on and you're back to 2 decimals, then that means the calculator has reset, which will wipe out this other setting we're about to make, which is very important. And that is that the calculator is set to monthly compounding. You can see it when you do the orange shift and clear all right below it. If you hold that down, it says 12 payments per year, very briefly. That means it's monthly. We need to change that to 1. So to do that, you'll click on the 1 first, again to the orange shift, and if you look under the payment key, you'll see periods per year, and that's what we want. So just push that, and it'll be set at 1 payment per year. Again, to double check, just do the orange shift, and down below, clear all, and it says 1 payment per year. We're going to leave it set that way, and that shift to clear all is always a good practice because that is the only way to wipe out this top row of numbers. Whatever you put in there is going to be stored until you do shift clear all, even if you turn the calculator off. So, again, I have an example up here of some problems. We're not going to talk about the problems so much right now. This is just about the inputs. So you can see we've got $100 for present value, 8 for interest, 60 for the number of periods, and we're going to solve for the future value. So you always just type the number first. It does not matter what order you put them in, but we'll just follow this order. 100, just type the number, then push the PV or present value key, and it puts the decimals back on it so you can kind of tell when you've entered it. 8 for I. 8% is the interest rate, and interest rates on the financial calculators always go in as whole numbers. So you're going to push 8, interest per year. This, on the HP, this is the interest key, I/YR, 60 for N, 60N. Once you've put everything in, some people will recommend that you put zeros in for numbers that you don't use, or for keys that you don't use. We're not using payment, so you could put 0 for payment, but it's already there, and if you do shift clear all, you don't have to mess with that. But then to get an answer, you just push the button for the answer that you want, and there it is, future value. 10,125.71, just like the answer in the solutions. It does have a negative sign in it, and for the next couple problems, we're going to ignore that. It's just the way the calculator works. All right, so we have the first one, and we'll just do the first 4, I think, or so, and we'll just go from there. So shift clear all. You go to the next one. You need $1 million in 20 years, so $1 million is the future value. This one's nice because it puts the commas on there. $1 million is the future value. 20 for N. And it's 6%, so 6 for I. Compute the present value. So we're going to push that one, and we get the answer, 311,804. Okay, now, this one is non-annual. And hopefully we've covered that by now, but if not, well, we're going to. When you have a non-annual situation, I recommend that you change the inputs into the calculator instead of changing the calculator settings. So that's the way we're going to do it. The reason, well, one of the main reasons is will show up right here. Let's just do this one. So we have 15,000 for future value. That's what we want to end up with. It's 5% compounded quarterly, so the interest rate per quarter would be 5 divided by 4. Well, the advantage with this is you can just take 5, then divide it by 4. And then just push I. And when you push I, it makes the conversion. You don't have to do it outside and then put it back in. It will make the change for you. Then we do 6 times, straight across, back over, times 4 to get the full number of quarters. That's going to be n. So we have 24, which I'm not saying you couldn't do it in your head, but hey. And we want the present value, and we get 11,132.96. All right. We can do the next one for fun. The next one, number 4, we start with 5,000 as the present value. It's 7% daily, so 7 divided by 365, which you may or may not be able to do in your head. I couldn't. And then 15 years times 365 to get the full number of days. That will be n. And we're going to compute the future value, and you end up with 14,268, 81.72, or 82. Very good. Now we're going to do the 5th one, because in this case we're going to solve for n. When you're solving for I or n, now the negatives are important, and one of the cash flows will have to be negative. In this case, there's only a present value and a future value, so it does not matter which one you enter. We can start with, well, make sure you do clear all. Like I said, it doesn't matter what order, so we're going to, I have the solutions starting with I, so that was the first thing that was given. And we will go 7 divided by 12, because it's compounded monthly. That will be the interest. For the present value, 20,000. And on this calculator, don't use the minus first, minus 20,000, because what it will do is subtract what you have in there for I. Use the plus or minus key, which is above the blue shift key. And once you do that, that puts the negative on there. Then enter that as present value. And then we'll do the future value of 80,000 as the future value. And we'll solve for n. Now, since we put the monthly interest rate into the calculator, we're going to get the number of months necessary for this to happen. So we get 238.34. But that is the number of months. The question is, you can kind of see it there, is asking for the number of years. So to convert from months back to years, all we're going to do is divide it by 12, and once the answer is up there, you just divide it by 12. And you hit equal, and you get 19.86, and that will be years. So hopefully that will help. If you have questions, you can always email me, and it's possible I will respond. All right, so on to the next one.